Salute, Raider Nation. What is going on today on a Saturday? Got some college football going on. We got Colorado and Shedeur Sanders trying to come back from being in the deficit with K-State. Cam Ward gets another victory under his belt. And so the college quarterback lottery continues to get spicier and spicier. We'll see how Jalen Milroe does later on. But just want to check in with you guys and let you guys know that there has always been the rumors of Coach Deion Sanders possibly being a package deal to the Las Vegas Raiders. Well, I don't think that that's going to happen now. And let me tell you guys why I believe that. And that is because there's a 5-star recruit who just shook everybody by announcing on the Pat McAfee show that he has committed officially to Colorado because he wants to go and play with Coach Prime. He wants to be coached directly by Coach Prime. And so what Deion Sanders and his son and Travis Hunter have been able to do in changing that abysmal organization around is now giving him the credibility and the ability to bring in primetime talent to replace these two incredible players, i.e. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. And so who is this kid? His name is Juju Lewis. Juju is his nickname. Julian is his real name. So Julian Juju Lewis has just committed to Colorado. I mean, this kid last week just threw, or I think it was on Friday, threw for over 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, plus ran a bunch of stuff too. He is a phenomenal young quarterback. He's going to have the ability to immediately come in and compete over there in Colorado. And so it's going to be interesting to see what Colorado can build moving forward as they are now able to attract top-tier talent, something that the Colorado team has never been able to do. So that means that the rumors of Deion Sanders coming to the Las Vegas Raiders may have just got the death knell, because he just got the number 2 ranked player in the entire nation to commit to come and play for his program and to play for him specifically. And so Deion's out the door, man. I don't think Deion will be coming to coach the Raiders. Because of this, I think that he has already stated that he's not really built for the NFL. He is better dealing with these younger college players. And now that he has the number 2 overall ranked high school athlete coming to play for him as his next dominant quarterback, pretty much the death knell in the hopes of anybody who was hoping for Deion Sanders to come. Now, I know there was a lot of people hoping he wouldn't come, because there's a lot that comes with the package of a Deion Sanders. Let's jump into the comments here, see how you guys feel about that. Drop your comments down below. Let me know where you guys are checking in from, and if you are a part of the Raider Nation. If you're not even a part of the Raider Nation, maybe you're a fan of another team, drop your comment down below. As long as you're respectful, I will put it up on the board and check it out. David says Mike Hunt wants to play with the Raiders. Okay. Sean says, go home, mommy, get the morning and have fun where you are doing that. It's so cute. Why are we going on our own birthday party? AO and at least I. Did you just ask like ChatGPT to write a random comment? That's interesting. But hey, there you go. Who are your guys' picks? Who are you thinking for the quarter or the head coaching position next year for the Raiders? Do you think that Antonio Pierce will be fired and somebody will come in to replace him? Max in the house all the way from Germany, my ancestral homeland. Salute to you, man. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, it's middle of afternoon now, but it's winter here, so it'll be evening in all of about 2 hours. Even though it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So thank you so much for checking in. Guys, if you're just catching on to the program right now, drop a comment down below. Let me know, where are you guys checking in from? Always like to see my Raider Nation check in. Raider Ryan, salute to you, my man. Thank you so much checking in from Washington. He is one of the biggest supporters of the channel. Thank you for being here. Pesha says, I hope AP is fired at the end of the season. Okay, question to you, Pesha. Who do you want in replace of Antonio Pierce if he is out? Jose coming in from the Bay Area. Where at in the Bay Area, brother? Oakland, Frisco. Where at? Raider Ryan wants to know, who wants us to win tomorrow against the Broncos? Well, if we're playing for the quarterback lottery, then no, we don't want to win. We want to make it competitive, but we don't want to win. If we don't care about the quarterback lottery, then of course you want to smash the Broncos. Always. But that's a great question, right? It's a good survey question. Let me know down in the comments below. What do you guys think about this comment here from Raider Ryan? Do you want the Raiders to win tomorrow? Yes or no? Because remember, right now the Raiders have the 4th overall pick. We have to play the Jaguars. If we lose the Jaguars, we lose throughout, we'll guaranteed have a top 3 pick. And it's going to take that. And there's 3 quarterbacks that the Raiders would be interested in. Obviously, we know the big name, and that's Shedeur Sanders. Cam Ward played great football today. Very controlled football. When he lost, the one game that Miami's lost, he was trying to play hero ball a bit too much. But he played very controlled football, and they just dominated today. And then Jalen Milroe, the athletically freak, just athletic freak. The dude is built like a linebacker and plays quarterback. It's crazy. And he's the fastest man on his team. Crazy. Finally, no, we are not talking about European football. We are talking about the Las Vegas Raiders in America, my man. Deathpile says, I never thought Deion was coming to the Raiders. If there is a change of head coach, I want Vrabel. Okay. Why Vrabel, though? I mean, in my opinion, Antonio Pierce and Vrabel are the same coach, just different color. Different skin complexion, but the same coach. Antonio says, hope y'all win, but don't think so. Okay. John Raider 98, I want us to win, but we are not good enough to win. Yeah, and I mean, it looks like Denver's kind of getting things put together over there. They're kind of putting it all together, and I think they're going to bring their A game because they're trying to get into the playoffs. Raider G wants Ben Johnson for head coach, Robert Saleh for defensive coordinator. That's a combo. I mean, you're talking about an offensive-minded genius in Ben Johnson, former head coach, fantastic defensive coordinator, but didn't really pan out. I mean, he did coach for the Jets. That's a hard place to win. They just have a history of suck over there in New York. So yeah, I would definitely go with that. I think Patrick Graham could stay. I don't know if he loses his job. I think the performance that the Raiders defense have had this year has not been what we expected, and that's going to hurt his chances to get a head coaching job. So could he be gone next year, or do you want to keep the continuity with the defensive coordinator? At least have something. Again, all of this is really going to depend on the head coach, because the head coach has a really big say on who his defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator is. Wild Siberia with the obviously you're not from the United States says, I always think it's comedy when Americans say we when referring to the teams they follow. A funny observation. American football is almost like a cult for some families, right? I follow soccer as well, so European football, and I could say that the soccer fans in Europe are way more cultish and violent football hooliganism is a real thing over there. We don't really have that over here in the United States. So I don't know, man. Yeah, we say we when we're talking about the football. I don't know if they do that in Europe, but I would imagine some people do that. York Rose says, what about Bobby Slowick? That's a possibility. Pesha says Mike Vrabel or Ben Johnson as head coach. And Cliff Kingsbury is OC. Cliff Kingsbury wouldn't leave Washington. He's got a 3-year deal over there, and to what? Come back here to be OC? I guess if we're like, you know, making a Madden franchise type scenario, sure, that could happen. But in reality, the only way Kingsbury would come to the Raiders is if we offered him the head coaching job, which is a possibility. There are no possibilities off the table right now. Jalen says, Ben Johnson not taking the Raiders job? Depends. We got the number 1 overall pick. We're going to grab our franchise quarterback that he gets to develop. That's very enticing to an offensive coordinator. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit earlier, York World. Did you miss it? I said, yeah, Bobby Slowick from the Texans, he is a possibility for the Raiders. Yes, so I am running 2 channels, LRD. So go follow my other channel. It's in the description. You can go check it out. It is the Daily Rumble here on YouTube. Because, well, I have 10,000 subscribers here, and the vast majority of you wanted me to stick to football on this channel, but said you would support me on the other channel. Really difficult for me to do 2 channels, which sucks. It's double the amount of work I already put all day into building out this channel. But, I'm going to listen to my fans. What you guys feel like I'm going to take into consideration. I'm not just going to ignore you. And because so many of you pleaded with me to keep this channel as a Raiders channel and then separate my other channel, that's what we've done. And so we're going to grow that out and keep going. I mean, I already had it grown out. We already had a couple thousand subscribers over there, tons of views, over 1 million views. And YouTube shut me down because apparently there's no such thing as free speech in the United States. And there are some topics that apparently YouTube doesn't want you talking about. And because I talked about it and it involved some world events that were happening, they gave us community strikes, shut us down. So yeah, we're back to talking football on the Raider D podcast. However, if you like world news, if you like independent, constitutionalist type content, then go and check us out on our other channel, The Daily Rumble. Jared, what's going on? Salute, man. Does Patrick Graham stay if we get a new head coach? Again, it's going to depend on the head coach because things can change. Some head coaches like to come in and they have their people. They have the guys that they have in mind. I would like to see Patrick Graham stay. I think the Raiders defense has been fairly decent. I would probably give him one more year as head coach or as a defensive coordinator. And if we can't have a top 10 defense by then yeah, he's got to go at that point. Yeah, I just came over here to do the live, so I stopped watching the game. What is the score, Senor, for the Colorado game? I know they were down by, I think, 4 when I started the live stream. Jose, thank you for the words of encouragement and the support of the channel. Definitely, thank you so much. Appreciate you all the time. Jacob, it's hard for the Raiders to choose a franchise quarterback because they're good or bad. Well, like I said, man, I think in this year's draft, we're going to have a top 3 pick if we lose out. And there are 3 quarterbacks who are, in my mind, first-round quarterback guys. And so you're going to see a run on them. If Jalen Milroe continues to improve this season, he could end up snatching the Heisman. He might end up going number 1 overall over Cam and Shador. But I think all 3 of these guys are very athletic and have a very high upside. I think Cam Ward is the most NFL-ready quarterback out of the 3. I think Shador is a very close second. And I think Jalen Milroe is a project. But with that, even if Jalen Milroe is a project and you just utilize him for what skill set he has right now, which is insane athleticism, I still think that he could start week 1 on just about any NFL team and have some decent success. Now, if he goes to a team that has better talent surrounding him, better offensive line, receivers, running backs, etc., or a good defense to keep the ball in his hands, I think Jalen Milroe could have a great season. But he needs to have a offensive coordinator who understands what his strengths and what his weaknesses are, and he doesn't have many weaknesses. And Jalen Milroe is going to be a great wide receiver in the NFL. KTVH12, CBS has the thing. I don't know if this is the actual news station, but that's cool if it is. Otherwise, I think that the Raiders and the Cowboys are in the same boat. I guess you must have put another one in there. Yeah, they are pretty much in the same boat. Except you guys have, or I don't know if you're a Cowboys fan, but the Cowboys have their quarterback locked up. Don't see them giving up on Dak Prescott anytime soon. Pizzle says he's got to become a throw-first quarterback, not a run-first. Well, listen, Alabama plays to his strengths. So they call plays that are designed quarterback runs. And so in that designed run, he doesn't really have an option to throw. Now, he has RPOs that they designed too. And if you go and you watch on the designed throw plays that they've given him, he's been very good at it. And one great thing that I'm really getting excited about Jalen Milroe is he has great deep ball accuracy. He's one of the best deep ball throwers in college football right now. And one of the things that we don't have on the Raiders is somebody who could throw the ball deep accurately. Britannia says Trump 2024. Okay, but you got to go to my other channel for that one. My other channel is the Daily Rumble. The Daily Rumble. The link is in the description. Go copy it and paste it and Go over there. That's my political world affairs channel. I think you'll love it. But yeah, I agree. Bizzle says, I'll be watching tonight against Oklahoma. Yep, me too. Can't wait. I'm excited for the game. It's a real big test for Jalen. It's probably his biggest test so far because Oklahoma does have a good defense. They're a little bit lacking on their offense. They've had different offensive coordinators, quarterback shuffle. Offensive line's not that great at Oklahoma. But the defense that's what I'm going to be looking at. I want to see what Oklahoma's defense can do against Jalen Milroe. I want to see what Jalen Milroe can do against that defense. Jared, if somehow the Raiders didn't get a high enough pick for a franchise quarterback, who would you want us to draft? I've been asked this before, and it's the same answer. Abdul Carter from Penn State. He is Micah Parsons 2.0, literally went to the same university, wore the same number 11, very similar play style, numbers, everything as Micah Parsons. And Micah Parsons, he's an absolute beast. And so if you don't get your franchise quarterback this year, let's say Jalen Milroe's off the board, Cam Ward's off the board, Shador's off the board. I don't think that there is a quarterback in this draft. It's a pretty weak draft class. I don't think there's one that the Raiders would take in the first round. And so if Abdul Carter's sitting there, you now legitimately on paper anyways, you have one of the scariest defensive lines in the NFL with Max Crosby, Abdul Carter, Christian Wilkins, and Tyree Wilson in the middle. And then if you re-sign Malcolm Kuntz and make him a rotational player, you've got some depth there. Adam Butler again for one more year. Yeah, the Raiders' defensive line is solid at that point. And so I think then you either move back later into the first round and you grab, maybe a Jackson Dart, somebody like that, or you just grab them in the second round. Whatever you do, you don't go and sign Daniel Jones, who just got released from the Giants. Lord, please prevent Tom Telesco from signing that dude. I'm sure he's a great guy, but oh my goodness. He has been with the Giants for 6 years, former 6th overall draft pick, and he's just not a good quarterback. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, guys, if you wanna stay tuned to the Daily Rumble, which is your daily update on possible World War III politics and how it affects our lives and what's going on in our country and around the world, go and check out our other channel, The Daily Rumble. As we build that back up, we'll start doing live streams over there, which is going to be a lot of fun, and try to make that as informative and keep you guys informed about what's going on as much as possible. Raider High, what's going on? Salute to you, my man. Carter looks more like a linebacker. Okay. Why do you think that he looks more like a linebacker, though? I mean, he is absolutely killing it as an edge rusher. And they moved him to edge rusher permanently this season. I mean, he is unstoppable on the edge. The great thing about Abdul Carter, and this is why I say you don't pass on him, because he's one of those generational type players where let's say you want to use him as a linebacker and an edge hybrid, right? You can't do that with Max Crosby. It doesn't work. He's not a linebacker. What you can do, and this reminds me of Khalil Mack in his early days with the Raiders, where we used him as a hybrid. He would disguise as an edge rusher and then back off into coverage, and he was really good at it. Abdul Carter is even better at it because he's faster. He's got great coverage skills. But it is undeniable when you watch that dude on the line, he is off of the snap like crazy. And his hand fighting and technique and his bend are insane. And he's only been doing it for this year as a full-time edge rusher. Now imagine his career in the NFL as an edge. And remember, Malcolm Kuntz was a linebacker, converted to an edge rusher. And he got really good at it at the end of last season. And then, of course, he got hurt before the season began. So I think that Abdul Carter as an edge rusher, again, he is Micah Parsons 2.0, and who would not want Micah Parsons on your team? And the great thing about him is you can use him in a different style of defense. You can have him disguise as a linebacker, bring him in as a blitzer. You can disguise him as an edge rusher, push him back into coverage, and that confuses quarterbacks. He ends up with interceptions. Or you can just use him straight up as an edge rusher because he's so much faster than most of the NFL tackles, he's going to get home. And that's why I like him. If the Raiders, and again, fantasy football team, you're picking probably Cam Ward. On my board, Cam Ward's the most NFL ready, going to get us to the playoffs the quickest. Cam Ward is quarterback, and somehow we end up with Abdul Carter and McMillan as the wide receiver, the standout wide receiver. Fantasy draft for the Raiders, we get 3 top 10 draft picks, and we just go light some people up next season. But obviously that's not going to happen, and the primary focus for the Raiders right now, and rightly so, is we've got to get the quarterback situation solidified. Season never stopped. Cam Ward equals Deshaun Watson. How you figure that? They're polar opposites of each other. Cam Ward is a pocket passer who can run, but prefers to throw from the pocket. And even when he does scramble out, he prefers to throw the ball down the field. I mean, look at his game today. He put on a clinic of pocket passing. I think he only rushed like one time. Not even in the same category, brother. Not even the same category. Deshaun Watson. 2 totally different. And again, Deshaun Watson was an absolute beast coming out of college. But he's a bit of a weirdo, and his career is just falling apart. But yeah, I don't see the Cam Ward, Deshaun Watson comparison at all. Yeah, hybrid, maybe a generational player. Says Raider High. I think he is. I think he's going to have a fantastic Micah Parsons 2.0 style career. I mean, these guys are basically clones of each other. Justin Brown says Jackson Dart is trash. You don't like Dart? I'm not real high on him either. Opinion, Deion will never let his boy go to a QB killing team like the Raiders. I mean, that's an interesting opinion. Facts don't back it up at all. No, not even close. It is not even a secret that the favorite team for his son to go to is the Las Vegas Raiders, with Tom Brady as co-owner. Now, obviously, he probably would like to see offensive coordinator change, and the Raiders get, somebody like a Ben Johnson, Slowick, somebody like that, Kingsbury, with the Raiders. We need to get the front office sorted out first. What do you mean by that, Pizzle? John Thompson, Raiders would be happy with Sanders or Ward. Yeah, I think the Raiders would be happy with Sanders, Ward, or Milroe, to be honest, at this point. And Milroe has really grown on me over the past 2 weeks. Salmon, yeah, the Giants released Daniel Jones on Friday, yesterday. He'll be, he's not waived, so if the team were to pick him up this weekend, they'd be stuck with this contract. If nobody picks him up by then, which nobody will, then on Monday, teams will be able to negotiate as he'll be an unrestricted free agent with a new contract. But I know some in the video that I dropped earlier today, some people were saying, yeah, let's go get Daniel Jones for the bare minimum, the league minimum. Give him $900,000. Daniel Jones he's not accepting $900,000. He's been the starter for the Giants for the past 6 years. Any team that he goes to, he's gonna want at least $7 or $8 million a year, and there's just no reason for us to go and get him. Raider High, if we draft Milroe, we're going to need a good bridge for him to develop. I think that if you draft a guy like him, this is why I want us to draft Cam, because I don't want to wait. I'm impatient. I want the Raiders to win now. And I think Cam Ward gives you that. I think Cam Ward, with a good offseason, can get in there week one. Play conservative ball with him and let him warm into the NFL. But I think Cam Ward gives you the best opportunity to start winning right away. Jalen Milroe, I think the same thing. The problem with him is the offenses in the NFL is going to require him to throw the ball a lot more than the designed quarterback runs. Because in the NFL, that's your franchise guy. You can't risk your franchise quarterback, running 20 times a game. You just can't do that. You're going to end up like, the Colts with Anthony Richardson. I will say this, though. This kid graduated with his degree in business a year early, and now he's working on his master's degree as he's trying to get in the hunt for a playoff, a college playoff, and a Heisman run. That's a pretty smart kid. And to have the athleticism that he has, which is, only from God that you get that type of athleticism, makes Milroe very intriguing, because anybody who thinks that Jalen Milroe is in the same class of Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, he's faster than both those guys. Anthony Richardson is pretty fast, but I think Anthony Richardson runs a 4.4, like a 4.45, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Jalen Milroe runs a 4.36, I believe, at 225 pounds. It's insanely athletically gifted. And he just has the ability to escape tackles and break tackles and all that stuff. So combine that with his deep ball accuracy, and Jalen Milroe is a very intriguing prospect for the Raiders. But I agree with you that if you draft him, you probably need a bridge quarterback. And this is where the Atlanta Falcons come in. So the Atlanta Falcons drafted Michael Penix Jr. last year at pick number 8 after signing Kirk Cousins. And there are some rumors out there that they are going to look to move off of Kirk Cousins next year. Remember, Sam Darnold's also going to be available next year because he's only on a 1-year contract. And, Minnesota has their franchise quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. He just got hurt for the season. So there are some good quarterbacks the Raiders could go and grab as that bridge. I think if you're going to do that, I would rather the Raiders go with Kirk Cousins. I know he's going to be more expensive than Sam Darnold. And I know he's older. But here's why. Kirk Cousins is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for many years now. Particularly as a pocket passer and a very accurate passer. He routinely puts up 4,000 plus yards, over 30 touchdowns every single season. Interceptions are to a minimum. He just hasn't been able to win the big game. He hasn't been able to win the playoff games, get to a championship, win a Super Bowl. But there is no doubt that Kirk Cousins would be a fantastic bridge quarterback if the Raiders drafted Jalen Milroe. Because now you get to have Jalen Milroe with all of that athleticism learn from one of the most prolific, accurate quarterbacks in the past 20 years, in Kirk Cousins. Maybe for a year, maybe 2. But you definitely want to get your number 1, number 2, number 3 overall quarterback in some design plays. And here's one thing that's great about him. If you get Kirk Cousins on the team and you draft Jalen Milroe, imagine this scenario. You drive down to the 5-yard line. Kirk Cousins comes out of the game. Jalen Milroe comes in. The kid has 17 touchdowns on the ground this season. He is a master at the RPO and play action. Our red zone difficulties are over at that point. And that builds up his confidence as well. So that's why I think, yes, I need to see more from Jalen Milroe. I'm not going to go on the high horse about Jalen Milroe like I did Jaden Daniels last year. Jaden Daniels was head and shoulders above every quarterback in that draft last year. I said it. I probably made 10 videos about it. I'm sure you guys probably got sick of hearing me talk about it. I'm not saying that about Jalen. But Jalen is a very interesting prospect for the Raiders. Francis says, I like Daniel Jones. What would be better than having 2 backup quarterbacks? 3 backup quarterbacks. Well, yeah, except for you would have more than 3. Because we have 4 on the team right now, so that would make 5. We have Carter Bradley, we have Desmond Ridder, AOC, and Gardner Minshew. That's 4 backup quarterbacks. Add Daniel Jones, now you got 5 backup quarterbacks on the Las Vegas Raiders. Joey says, what about Justin or Russell? 1 or 2 years for Jalen to develop. No on Justin Fields. Because why would you bring Justin Fields when he's a kind of a clone of Jalen Milroe, right? You want Jalen Milroe to learn from somebody who's more of a proficient pocket passer. Because here's the issue with Jalen Milroe. It's the short and intermediate anticipation passes that has been his Achilles heel. I said this earlier. The thing, though, is that was the big knock on him last year. He has cleaned that up a lot this year, but he's not all the way there. So I would say no on Justin Fields. Russell Wilson, possibly. But here's the problem. Do you think Russell Wilson's even going to be a free agent next year? I think Pittsburgh's found their franchise guy for the next 2 to 3 years. I think they're going to stick with Russell Wilson. I think they're going to give him a contract at the end of the year. In fact, they may give both of them a contract at the end of the year because, to be honest, Justin Fields had probably his best year in Pittsburgh in his entire professional career. But his holes in his game are still there. And that's why they made the switch to Russell Wilson. Also because by switching over to Russell Wilson, they don't have to give up a second-round draft pick. Because that was a part of the trade deal. If Russell Wilson played over, I think it was 60% of the games this season, it would go from, what was it, a fourth round to a third round or a third round to a second round, whichever way it was. And so they want to save that draft pick, so you bench Justin Fields and you put in Russell Wilson. But I think that they're going to stick with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I think they'll give both of them a contract, so I don't think either one's going to hit the market. Raider High says, my list of QBs in the offseason was Mayfield, Darnold, and then Cousins last because of his price tag. Yeah, I mean, for the amount of money that it would have cost to bring in Kirk Cousins, yeah. Is Kirk Cousins better than all the quarterbacks that we have on our team right now? Absolutely. So I would have been okay with Kirk Cousins. By okay, I would have been okay with it, but not happy with it. I've been okay with it because I know he's a better quarterback than what we have now. I wouldn't have been happy with the price tag that we would have had to pay him. And then the question mark on whether or not that Achilles was going to be fully healed. Raider Drox, what's up, man? Did you see the video of Mike Vrabel in Vegas? I did not. I'll have to look that up. Did that just happen recently? Pizzle says, get Milroe an O-line and a running back, and he will win a lot of games. And I've said this. I think the Raiders should draft Ollie Gordon the third. I think that kid, you could pick him up in probably the second or third round. He's a physical freak as well. Another 225-pounder, 6'2" guy, downhill runner, going to pick up big, heavy yards. Hard to bring down. He had 1,700 yards rushing last season. His numbers are down this year, but I believe that he could still put up those kinds of numbers in the long run. At least be a 1,000-yard rusher. And then as far as our offensive line goes, I think that we need some depth at guard, and use probably one or both of your third-round picks this year to address the guard situation. DJ Glaze has solidified himself as that right tackle. And, JPJ, he's already turning into an all-pro center as a rookie. It's insane to see how good this kid is, really. I mean, he is going to have a long, illustrious career with the Raiders. And he loves being a Raider. He's going to love it more when we start winning. Colt Miller is getting back to form. Past 2 weeks hasn't given up a single sack. I think only a couple of pressures. He's really picked it back up, got back into football shape. And so really, I think we do have a good offensive line right now. I think we're going to finish with an even stronger offensive line by the end of the year, and bringing all of those pieces back with maybe upgrade at guard. And I think Jordan Meredith has played very, very honorably and good for the Raiders. But I think that, we could upgrade there. And then Dylan Parham has played well. But again, I think we can upgrade there as well. So you probably draft in the third round, one or two guards. And I think we'll have a pretty decent top 15, maybe top 10 offensive line next year. And we got Michael Mayer back. He's a great blocker. That's going to be fantastic. Harrison Bryant can get healthy now. And then Brock Bowers is just, another all-pro. Dude's breaking records. He's probably gonna break another record on tomorrow. So I'm excited to see that happen. But again, listen, even if the Raiders win some games and we get knocked out of the top three, doesn't mean that we don't end up with a quarterback. because not everybody is sold on Jalen Milroe, and Jalen Milroe could slide right into the lap of the Raiders at pick 7, 8, 9, 10. Because the teams behind us may not need a quarterback when it's all said and done, right? Jacksonville right now, they're number 1. They don't need a quarterback. We got to play Jacksonville. They'll probably beat us, and we'll go up ahead of them. Tennessee needs a quarterback. The Giants need a quarterback. New England does not. Cleveland does not. Carolina may. And Dallas does not. So, I mean, if we, it's going to be tough depending on what Jalen Milroe does. But if the Raiders fall to like pick 6 or 7 and Jacksonville's up in the mix, we might just have to make a trade to Jacksonville because they have their franchise quarterback. I think he sucks, but they have their franchise quarterback right now. And they have so many other holes that they need to fill. So trading back for them to get more draft capital would make sense. The Raiders could move up to that top 3 pick and grab our quarterback. And most likely it's going to be Shador. But you never know. When it comes to draft night, crazy things happen. A lot of people thought the Raiders were going to end up with Michael Penix Jr. And it didn't happen. Didn't happen. I have heard that, him and Vrabel played together. They have a close relationship. Vrabel did, get as a head coach. He did get into the playoffs a couple of times. But, at the end of the day, who's the offensive coordinator? That's the big question. Because Vrabel's not an offensive genius. Emily Baxter, hashtag the cartoony witch game kitten. Okay, that's a long name. Kamala for Waterboy. She'll be looking for a job. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. I'm sure Raytheon or one of these other military industrial complex corporations that, were all up in her pocket will put her on a board somewhere and give her a cushy, fat little job. That's how the corrupt politicians all end up. Somehow they all come to politics either broke or middle class, and by the time they leave politics, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like they say, like, if you want to get rich, get into sales or politics, because either way, you're gonna make a boatload of money. That's unless you're an athletic, gifted person and you can get into a professional sport. But if not, the 2 best ways to get rich is sales and politics. That's the state of affairs. York World, the Raiders O-line is young and improving fast. Yeah, I'm excited for this offensive line tomorrow. I am excited for this, not tomorrow. I'm excited for this offensive line next year to see what they can put together and how they can put everything together. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Jerry's Island says, Raider Dave, you give us hope. Shout out to Raider Dave. Tennessee and Jacksonville have to play 2 more times, so we should move up at least 1 spot. Yeah, if we lose out, if the Raiders don't win any more games. But if they do win some games, then that's going to... because listen, the Jacksonville game's a winnable game for the Raiders. The Saints is a winnable game for the Raiders. And tomorrow's game against the Broncos is a winnable game for the Raiders. The Raiders dropping 0-2 to the Broncos this year when we've owned them for the past 5 years, I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. Right after Denver, then we get, to go play KC at KC. And then we got to play Tampa Bay. And then we got to play the Falcons. 3 very tough games. And then we have, we have some winnable games with Jacksonville, New Orleans, and maybe even the Chargers. But they'll be fighting for, well, we always like to play spoiler for them anyway. So you never know. The Raiders could win 2 more games. If we did that, we would have to hope that Jacksonville, Tennessee, and the Giants also win 2 more games. And New England, or the Jets and Carolina need to win at least 1 more game. But obviously we're going to have a lot more to say about it after tomorrow's game is done and all the games are finished and wrapped up, and we'll see where the Raiders are sitting. But I think that we've got a really good shot at being in the top 3 and getting that franchise quarterback, because it's just something that we haven't done for way too long, and we're overdue. Definitely overdue. Jim Tommy says Raiders need a new head coach. Aaron H209, hate to say it, but the Raiders need to keep losing. Yeah, I hate it too. I've never advocated for the Raiders to tank a season to get a draft pick. But we've got nothing to win for. There's no reason to win a game right now. Joey, how about our secondary, since we might be losing 5? Also, our linebacker core, what do you think about that? Well, I don't know. We're going to have to see what Tom Telesco is going to do. I don't know why Robert Spillane wasn't extended earlier. He is the heart and soul of that linebacker core and secondary. Morang has really played very well. Absolutely deserves a contract extension. But one of the things is when you're playing good, like Robert Spillane and Morag, when you're playing good like that, Nate Hobbs, right? Why would you want to come back and accept a deal with the Raiders at this point of the season when the Raiders are a losing team and you have the opportunity to go into the free agency, possibly make more money, and go to a winning team that has a shot at the playoffs? And that's kind of the big issue that the Raiders have right now. And this is why I said, man, I don't understand why Tom Telesco didn't get this done at the beginning of the season. Those contract extensions should have been done. Spillane deserved it. Nate Hobbs is top 5 corner, nickel corner in the NFL. How do you even let it get this far? Now, we can franchise tag. And I think if any player gets franchise tagged, it's going to be Nate Hobbs. You can't let Nate Hobbs go. If he refuses to sign a contract with the Raiders, which I don't think he does, he loves the Raiders, he loves Vegas. I think they just haven't entered into negotiations with him yet. But you don't let Nate Hobbs go. You get Morang re-signed. Marcus Epps can go. We don't need him. And from what I hear, there's a lot of people in the locker room who don't even like him. Because I guess I don't know. The rumor is he's just not a very team-friendly dude. He's a bit stuck up. So, I've never been super impressed with Marcus Epps' play anyway. So you can let him go. We have Trey Taylor that we drafted this past season. He's going to be an absolute stud in the NFL. He's just been hurt. He should be just about good by now. Matter of fact, I gotta text him and find out how he's doing. I've had him here on the show. Great kid. So, he'll be lining up most likely next to Mooring next year. And Palomau. Right? So those are your three safeties. Jack Jones we have until next year. And obviously Jacorian Bennett. He's only, this is his second year, so he'll be back next year. And Divine Diablo can go. Not missing Divine Diablo at all. I would like to see Amari Ferrari, Gainer, lined up next to in that speed linebacker slot, and next to Spillane. Brandon Ryan agrees. Absolutely. Hobbs and Spillane deserve contract extensions. Not many can play the nickel like him. Agreed. I mean, he's such a great tackler for one. He's a great blitzer, and he's just super sticky on those inside slant routes and hitch routes and whatnot. So yeah, and listen, Nate Hobbs can play outside. He's done both. But his natural position is more at nickel. And so you got to keep him. He's one of the best in the country for a reason. Raider High, why can't Michael Mayer get more targets? I see some all 22, and he is open a lot. AP preached 12-man personnel all year. Well, for one, he hasn't been here because he had his personal issue. And two, I agree. I agree that it comes down to the quarterback, right? Because you can scheme a player open, but if the quarterback doesn't throw him the ball, it doesn't matter. And that's the problem with Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew gets laser locked onto one route. And then he holds the ball until, he gets pressure, and then he tries to run out of it, and halftime he falls on his face. And so you have Michael Mayer standing there, hey, throw me the ball, I'm wide open, and nothing happens. So I don't think that this is so much on the coaching, and honestly, I even think that while I agree Luke Getsy needed to go, he's not a good offensive coordinator because he made stupid calls over and over and over again. I did see his scheme work. When you watch the All-22 tape, you see wide open wide receivers, and you see Gardner Minshew's head down looking at the rush. And so, Luke Getsy talked about it in pressers, and Antonio Pierce talked about it in pressers when he was questioned, why no deep shots? Why no Michael Mayer? Why no this? Why no that? And they said, we had opportunities. They were there. They just weren't taken. He's throwing the quarterback under the bus without throwing him under the bus. Because what he's saying is the opportunity was there. The quarterback didn't take it. Who was the quarterback he was talking about? The same quarterback he's starting tomorrow against the Broncos and Gardner Minshew. Which just tells me that the Raiders are intentionally tanking. You put your worst quarterback forward, that tells you you're tanking. Because he is definitely the worst quarterback on this team. There's no doubt about it. York World says, I think the Raiders have one of the brightest future tight end rooms. Brock can do it all, and I believe Michael Mayer can turn into a Gronk type level player. Yeah, I agree. The tight end room is solidified. Listen, Harrison Bryant's a great tight end too, and we've got him. I don't know how. I think he signed a 2-year contract. So we got him for this year and next year. Harrison Bryant is a great blocker. He's tall. He's lengthy. He's pretty decent at routes. He's no Brock Bowers. And then Michael Mayer is just Big Mike, right? He's your big bully tight end who can run, can catch, can block. He can do it all. He's just not as athletically gifted as a receiver as Brock Bowers is. So naturally, going to throw the ball to Brock Bowers an awful lot because it just makes sense. It's Brock Bowers, best tight end in all of NFL right now. C. Balmer says, this explains a lot from early season. I always said it seems like AP is protecting Aiden. It all makes sense now. Well, Aiden's hurt right now, so he couldn't even play if he wanted to. He should be ready to go by next week, is my understanding. But he may not play the rest of the season. Here, my opinion is this. I think what's going to happen at the end of the season, Gardner Minshew gets cut. Not going to pay him another year to be a bad quarterback. The Raiders go in free agency and maybe grab a Sam Darnold, maybe grab a Kirk Cousins in a trade with Atlanta, and we draft our quarterback. And I think you're going to end up you'll probably have Aiden O'Connell because he's cheap and he's a quality backup quarterback. You have your rookie, and you'll have your veteran. Or you might even see Aiden O'Connell be the starter next year. If you grab Milroe, you start AOC maybe for the first 4 games, maybe 6 games, and then you put Milroe in. Yeah, to me it seems like that. Seems like flop all day to me. I mean, I can't guarantee it one way or the other, but it certainly seems that way. Well, anyway, guys, that's the wrap for today's show. I appreciate you being here. We will be back with you guys again. Make sure to check in for all of our latest videos as we drop daily Raiders content. And again, if you want that quality, independent world news and politics, everything that's affecting us right here at home in the United States, go and check out my political world news channel, The Daily Rumble. The link is in the description. I don't think because we're on the vertical platform, I don't think you can click on it. I think you have to copy and paste it to go to my other channel, but it is called The Daily Rumble. Go show some support over there as we grow it out. Appreciate each and every one of you being here. And until next time, salute and Raiders just win, baby.